The right response to yield pressure starts with the right decision. Scout early and often. Select the right product combination. Apply at the right time. The right partner works with you to find solutions that click.
Well, right now on Agriculture of America, let's catch up with the team at MyAgData and talk about their resources and their products that they have available to help farmers with their acreage reporting and getting that to be more accurate. Joining us for a conversation today, channel manager at MyAgData, Chad Greenlee, and one of their grower customers from North Dakota, Nathan Faleide. They're both with us here on the show today. Chad, Nathan, thanks so much for the time, guys. Hope all is well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
Happy to be here.
I would love to start, Chad. Maybe you can give us a quick overview from MyAgData first, just a refresh for folks. I know they've heard a lot about you guys on the show over the course of this year, but for folks who maybe are still a little unaware, give us kind of the overview of who MyAgData is, Chad.
Sure. Yeah, so MyAgData was initiated in 2012, just ahead of the 2014 Farm Bill. Inside the Farm Bill, there's a program that was initiated there called Acreage Crop Reporting Streamlined Initiative. The acronym for that is Accuracy. MyAgData began working with them to help develop a program to administer digital reports through the USDA, specifically working with the Risk Management Agency and the Farm Service Agency. And over the last decade, we've been conducting pilots. There were 6 pilots that were ran with the USDA to transact these electronic reports. So we've been working with them for 14 years, but we were only able to make this available in January of 2024 by receiving our credentials to transact this information in June of 2023. But the process is made for every farmer in America.
Well, Chad, I think about the work you guys are doing there at MyAgData. It's really, at the end of the day, it's trying to make things easier for farmers in the long run, isn't it, Chad?
Yeah, we do really well with more complex operations. All of them are complex. But when you have a lot of irrigation, a lot of convoluted fields, that's where a lot of the value comes in, that we can help make that process easier. Growers, they see different value. Every operation is different. And so we work well with everyone, those who aren't implementing precision equipment to the most advanced, being able to utilize data that's being planted, bring that in and make the reporting process more efficient.
Nathan, I'd love to come over to you and get some grower perspective here. And I know that folks maybe who follow you on social media, for instance, know you're pretty plugged into ag tech already. So what made you decide to start using MyAgData this season instead of just reporting your acres manually? Talk about that a little bit, Nathan.
Well, I'm an odd duck no matter what, because I've been in the ag tech industry, or whatever we called it, in its beginning as a kid. So I just like to play around and use things to what they were built for. So, and funny story, I actually used to work for MyAgData back in the day, back in 2017. So I suppose you could call it, there's a reason too. And, but once I got back into farming, it's like, yeah, why not? It's one thing when I farmed back at home years back. Yeah, you draw on a black and white map, and I always just thought it was kind of stupid. It's like when I'm growing up into the whole side of mapping and dealing with CLUs. I worked in crop insurance myself, and it's just frustrating that that's like a thing, like an old way of things. Like no one fills their tax forms out by hand, writing them, but yet we have to do that for acreage reporting and production reporting. It's like, well, no, we fed the tools and the technology to do this for easily 2 decades. So, once I got into it, I was like, I'll just disappoint myself if I don't do it, because this is exactly what I always wanted anyways. So let's do it. And of course, there's a ton of nuance between it of why for others or versus me, or the benefits. But in general, it just fits the times, I guess. I don't inherently want to do something that is obsolete, I guess. That's in a nutshell.
Yeah. I'm curious, and I'm glad you kind of brought it up, doing something that's obsolete and looking to where we're at today. And folks are very busy. I know you're very busy in your own right. You mentioned that as we were chatting a bit off air. I mean, how much, for instance, how much time do you think that using MyAgData saved you compared to, normal manual reporting, things of that nature? Like how much of a time saver was this for you?
Well, I can't say it was necessarily a time saver for me or not. I mean, it is for some larger farmers. It definitely would be, but I don't farm a ton and my fields are fairly square, but that's not why for me. That's the why for others, I'd say. For me, it's kind of, I guess, being accurate. I'm more worried about that, because I know that there's a look back period. You can go back 7 years to look at something that was wrong. Or when you're actually assessing exactness with all the other things you're doing, well, you want to be exact. I know I know the CLUs and a lot of the data they're imperfect. Well, I don't get a lot of things right, and I'm not a huge perfectionist, but it's like, well, if there's one thing I can be a perfectionist at really quick, it's this. So why not do it? But for larger farms, they can do that. I mean, inherently at a much larger scale faster. So like when I handed my stuff in, when I went to the FSA office, there's a guy there and he had a stack of papers this big, 6 inches high of basically different reports, because he farms 10,000 acres. I'm like, that's just dumb, because that farmer has definitely modern equipment and tools. My stuff's 30 years old. My monitor is from 2012. As I said, the tech has been there to do these things. So I was like, well, okay, if I can do it, why aren't you doing it? And maybe it's just people get used to comfort and doing the same thing over. I mean, that's what it is. But yeah, I would never, if I farm 10,000 acres, there's no way in hell I'm going to fill out 6 inches of paper, I guess. So yes, it should be a giant time saver for the guys that really.
But I think, more broadly, what it sounds like for you, it's the accuracy piece, right? It's, and that's going to in turn have an effect on premiums, your APH, getting a more accurate report of your acres is going to be the bigger item, for you and for everyone in the long run, right, Nathan?
Well, and that's where there's a weird argument in the back end that, not a lot of, actually everybody talks about in a different way, but yet we don't really inherently see it when we think about how we report to the FSA or for crop insurance. Like the WSDA reports for, there's this much corn being grown, or this as much is going to be. And everyone's mad because, it should be this and it's not this. Well, inherently it's wrong because the data is inherently wrong because the CLUs are not perfect. They were drawn in 2000 through 2003 or like 97. I don't know. They were drawn by people in an old software over old maps. And some are fairly simple. They're square. Some are weird. Well, those are still kind of the same for the most part. And those are plus or minus 5-8% off an acreage. So, but those are used for like reporting crop conditions for these giant reports the USDA puts out. Mm-hmm. So we need to really think about how accurate do we really want to be, because everyone's actually complaining about it, but yet, and we have the technology and tools to do something about it. Okay, let's do it then. So I don't know. Like I said, I got a different viewpoint of it all because of my history, and this is where, things with MyAgData and how they want to help can do that. Of course, incentive is a whole nother thing too. I've lived around software, and even having the time for me to sit on a computer has been harder than ever this year. So
yeah.
Everyone wants everything perfect and automated, but I mean, it takes more time to do the other stuff too. So I don't know. It should be more used.
We're having a conversation today with Chad Greenlee from MyAgData and Nathan Faleide from North Dakota, one of their grower users of the MyAgData platform. Chad, I'm going to come back to you here for a minute, and thinking about where we're at in the growing season. We've seen winter wheat harvest, for instance, and spring wheat harvest. Is rolling. Corn and soybeans, we're not too far away from that. I mean, maybe you can share, to kind of go along with what Nathan's saying, what have you guys been hearing from other growers who've been using the platform, et cetera, and what this is all going to mean for your guys' growth as a company heading into next year and beyond here, Chad?
Yeah. So as I talk with my family, as I talk with other growers and Nathan alike, as we go through this reporting period that we just finished, July 15th, the growers, that every operation's different. They're all complex, but they're all different to different complexities, like different degrees. The ones that have more of the convoluted fields, the more irrigation pivots and things that we need to map out, are the ones that we've heard back from the growers where it's really saved them the time. They've benefited from that. Growers who have more square fields like Nathan, they still save time as well. Accuracy has been a part of the feedback that we've received from the growers also. As an example, some growers, they may have, it may not be too complex to complete the report, but if we can save them a 32-mile trip into town to go to the office, or help them with the office meetings of some of those FSA counties, they want you to come by an appointment to come and meet with them, and so we've helped make that more efficient by allowing them to report through us and deliver a different way to get the reporting to the office. They can email that. What we really pride ourselves on is we want to make this good for our growers, but equally so for our program analysts at the farm service agencies. So the output that we deliver, even though we do send an electronic file, we also create a PDF output. And the information that's on those reports are the data that's needed for the 578, so the growers can get certified. So I think the overall efficiency, accuracy, like Nathan said, is true. And old habits, breaking those old habits and trying a new way of doing something is kind of nothing new. Like with Nathan, we've been in the precision ag side of things for over 2 decades around data and information management. And anytime a new technology or a new way of doing something is introduced into the market, there's a slow transition period, and we're seeing a growth in that year over year.
And I'm glad you mentioned, the FSA piece there as well, and kind of the tie-in that you guys have developed with the USDA, and kind of developing things to where USDA would, accept the work that MyAgData is doing, for instance, et cetera. Like, that's been a long developed, partnership, so to speak, that really helps elevate the MyAgData platform, right, Chad?
Yes, sir. Yeah. We really want to increase the efficiency for them as well. We do as many preseason calls to offices that we can for ones we've worked with in the past. We may know of other counties that producers may be reporting in for the present year. So we try to do outreach to them just to talk and let them know what to expect. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is what to expect. The reality of it is that what they're going to receive from the grower is a better version of the black and white paper map. It's easier to read. It's more easy to follow as it's broken out by farm track field. We created the report based off of their feedback. So we spent a lot of time with the county offices last year asking them, what can we do to make this output easier for you to ingest into the system that they're currently using to create the 578. So we give them a map version and we give them a table because the preference were about 50-50 on that. And so we've been trying to focus on efficiencies from the grower all the way through the whole process to make this easier for everyone.
Well, gentlemen, this has been a fun conversation, and I want to get some final thoughts, Nathan, from you first. Just knowing what you know now, and you know your work within ag tech and so much more, and as a grower, and looking at all of this, what would you tell other growers who are still doing their acreage reporting manually? I mean, what would you say to them to get them to think about using MyAgData, Nathan?
Oh, well, I probably would have some choice words that I probably shouldn't say for some of those farmers, to be honest, because I'm a little uncensored in that, but I'll be nice. You know, in its simplest form, I think for most farmers, they're just hurting themselves by not doing things like this. Whether it's, time, whether it's just utilizing the money they've invested into the digital tools they actually have at their disposal and the data they've created. It's like, all right, you bought this cool new $10,000 monitor to drive a straight line. Well, guess what? The old one does the same thing. So like, what else are you doing? And kind of get off their butts and utilize this stuff for why it's good. I'll also throw a little bit of fear factor in this too, because, recent, call it agreements for a group like Palantir to come into the USDA and, I don't know, digitize a bunch of stuff that's been talked about it. I'm all for digitization. I'm for the right groups to do it. And that's a group I do not trust. Well, I trust a group like MyAgData that's independent. It's been doing this for a long time. I know the people. That's what I want. If I'm going to put my data anywhere, I want to do it with a group like that. And wherever that other stuff goes, I don't know. Time will tell. I think more farmers need to realize that is a lot of the companies that have built a lot of the tech and the softwares, they're independent, small shops. They're just trying to help. Work with them. They want to help you. They're trying to help you. Help yourself. They'll help you. Everyone wins. Because if you don't do it, you'll be forced to do it a different way, like through what I said earlier, through another method. So it's really about taking control of a process that's inevitable now, where you still have a choice versus not having a choice. I know that's a little dark maybe for how maybe some would think about it, but seeing everything I've seen in the ag tech world, we're not too far from some weird stuff about to happen. So, pick appropriately. And I'd say MyAgData is one of them, because they're just trying to help digitize a process that's always been there. It's pretty black and white, but that's how we're all trying to avoid these black and white maps anyways. So, or green and yellow, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but that's how I see it. So.
No, I appreciate the take on things, and I think a lot of folks listening in will as well. Chad, final thoughts from you? Anything you would add to what Nathan has said today? And then I know as well, folks want to learn more. MyAgData.com's the best way to get started, isn't it, Chad?
That's exactly right. Yeah, just reach out to us that way. To add on to what Nathan said, One Farmer, One File was introduced earlier this year. Of course, we support that. It's what MyAgData's been doing for the last 14 years, is to work on easy way for a report to go into the USDA and to be used in multiple departments, currently the Farm Service Agency and Risk Management Agency. And I think a point that Nathan brought up too is growers have the option, more so today than ever before, how they choose and the way they choose to report it. With One Farmer, One File initiative that comes up, it's good to see the infrastructure building to a capacity where it can handle the electronic files. We're here doing it currently, and we'll continue to grow that path and collaborate with with the growers and Farm Service Agency to make this whole process as easy as it can be, and give the grower the option to choose how they do the report, who they do it through, and still conform to what the digitization goal is for the reporting aspect of it. So
MyAgData.com for more information. With that, Chad Greenlee, channel manager at MyAgData. Chad, thanks so much for joining us here on the show today. We appreciate the time.
thank you, Jesse. Good
And
to see you,
also
Nathan.
Nathan Faleide from North Dakota. Nathan, thank you for joining us here and tell us about your experience with MyAgData as well. We appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. Anytime.